In the 21st century, overpopulation has become an unmanageable problem, so humanity creates a plan to relocate to Mars. However, because the red planet is currently unsuitable for human life, they must first terraform it. They begin by sending moss and other simple life forms, such as cockroaches. Years later, in 2597, criminals Komachi and Nanao are fleeing through Tokyo's streets as the police pursue them. The cops quickly surround them. At that point, a flying car arrives in front of them, carrying Dr. Honda, who is watching his own presentation about how they must exterminate the roaches before they can live on Mars. His assistant points out that Komachi and Nanao are being pursued on suspicion of second-degree murder, making them ideal candidates for the project. Honda approaches the couple and invites them to his lab to make an offer. If they travel to Mars to clean up all the cockroaches, they will be well compensated and their crimes will be forgotten. The catch is that they will need to undergo a risky surgery first. Komachi initially refuses because he does not trust Honda, but Nanao quickly signs up, so Komachi agrees to join to be with her. 2 years later, Nanao and Komachi are flying to Mars with a full crew aboard the spaceship Bugs 2. Captain Dojima and Lieutenant Mina send everyone to their positions as they prepare to arrive. The landing goes smoothly, and when they look out, they notice Mars is no longer red. It now resembles Earth due to the terraforming process. Mina launches a device containing a powerful chemical that kills the roaches, and Dojima divides the group to explore the area and determine whether the eradication process is effective. After the crew departs, Dojima sends out a drone, which discovers Bugs 1, a probe sent by Japan in secret 10 years ago. The captain contacts Honda to show him the probe and informs him that everything is going well so far, which excites Honda because if the mission succeeds, he will have the technology to control the world. Meanwhile, the various teams are already exploring, and Jin finds it strange that they haven't discovered a single dead roach yet. He and Maria continue their journey, but when they come across some rocks, they are taken aback. 3 strange creatures wielding clubs are standing nearby. The couple immediately hides, perplexed because they were not told anything about possible Martians. Komachi and Nanao come across one of these creatures nearby. Komachi attempts to communicate with it, but the creature suddenly attacks Nanao and snaps her neck. After dropping the body, it takes off at high speed. Jin discovers them and informs them that the creatures also killed Asuka. The entire crew rushes back to the ship, leaving Nanao's body in the medical bay before confronting Dojima, who had known the truth all along. Humanity sent the roaches to Mars 500 years ago, and they've been evolving at a rapid pace ever since thanks to space radiation and other extreme conditions. The creatures seen by the crew are indeed the roaches, which have grown to be stronger than humans, and the government refers to them as terraformers. The crew is furious at being duped, but Honda appears in the form of a hologram at that point. He reminds everyone that they sold themselves for money and underwent surgery prior to their arrival, which was not done solely for the purpose of breathing on Mars. It turns out that the procedure inserted bug DNA into their genes, giving them superpowers to complete the mission. Dojima then explains that in order to activate their powers, they must inject themselves with the bug cell activator. The body will mutate, but only for a few minutes, and they will return to normal as long as they do not overuse it. Otherwise, they will die. Dojima sends all of the information to the crew's suits, which are directly linked to their minds, and Tezuka thinks it sounds like fun. The rest of the crew is upset, and Mina wants to know why Dojima didn't say anything, so he explains that he was ordered to keep it confidential. Some crew members want to return to Earth, but the computer alerts them that roaches are approaching the ship. Lee volunteers to go out and fight them, saying that once they're finished here, they can return and use their new powers to exact revenge on the government. Once outside, Lee injects himself with the activator, which grants him the abilities of a bombardier beetle. This bug combines chemicals to produce a small jet that resembles a flamethrower. Lee's body transforms into a hybrid of human and beetle, and he begins fighting a roach, exchanging hits at the same speed and strength as the creature. Because the roach will not go away, Lee uses his new ability to shoot powerful flames at it, severely burning it. At first, it appears that Lee has won, but the roach quickly recovers and kills him. At the same time, another cockroach jumps on top of the spaceship and begins hitting the ultra-tempered glass with its head, breaking it. Then it comes inside and immediately kills 2 crew members, so Dojima takes his injection and obtains the Paraponera ants genes from South America. This bug can lift 100 times its own weight and has a stinger that is as painful as a bullet. Because of this strength, Dojima easily smashes the cockroach to the ground, killing it. Unfortunately, the computer detects a large number of cockroaches approaching the ship. Osaka wonders why the roaches want to kill them. and Maria explains that they want to kill them as well, citing the first time she saw a roach and killed it just because. The majority of the crew wants to return to Earth. However, Mina discovers that the control panel is dead, and the backup system is also inoperable. Dojima quickly devises a plan. The team will go to Bugs 1 and bring all of the parts needed to repair Bugs 2, while he stays behind to fight the roaches. By using the dead creature's pheromones, he will attract all of the other roaches, allowing the team to travel safely. Some men want to stay and help the captain, but Ichiro tells them to leave because he will be the one who stays. As the roaches begin to climb the ship, the team makes their way out, but Komachi first stops to see Nanao, promising to come back for her. Before leaving, he notices some strange strings coming from her mouth. The team enters the rover, and because it will have to pass through a swarm of roaches, Tezuka volunteers to fight. He takes his injection and receives the DNA of the rove beetle, which can shoot gas projectiles at an enemy, but when Mina opens the door, a swarm of roaches awaits, so Tezuka climbs onto the vehicle's roof and shoots gas at them, allowing the rover to safely escape. Back on the ship, Ichiro receives his injection and transforms just as the roaches break in. However, as Dojima fights, Ichiro flees to hide. The roaches keep coming. When the roaches become too many to fight, Ichiro seals the entire ship, crushing a few roaches with the closing door. Then he vacuums out all of the oxygen inside the ship, causing all of the cockroaches to suffocate. There are a few who continue to fight, and Dojima never gives up, but the lack of air eventually knocks him and Ichiro out. At that point, the team inside the rover notices something massive approaching them, almost like a tsunami, but it is actually a massive wave of cockroaches. Mina pushes the rover through the wave while Tezuka continues to shoot gas, smashing many roaches against the windows. The rover makes it safely through and they celebrate, but then they see a second, larger wave approaching. Tezuka will be unable to handle this one alone, so Maria and Osako receive injections to transform as well. Osako gains the abilities of the hard-shell weevil from Okinawa, which has a shell so hard that even an elephant cannot crush it. Maria is a rainbow stag beetle with an amazing camouflage shell that deceives the enemy. Once mutated, both women join Tezuka on the roof and serve as a shield for him. This allows the rover to pass through, but after crossing the wave, the vehicle flips and crashes, knocking everyone inside out and throwing the trio to the ground. The rover suddenly turns on autopilot and drives away, leaving the trio behind. The roaches quickly surround them and in a matter of seconds, kill all three of them mercilessly. Moments later, the team awakens to discover they are at the Bugs 1, unaware that a drone is watching them nearby. Toramaru and Yoshikane remain outside to guard the entrance while the others enter the ship to investigate. When Mina tries to run a diagnostic, they are shocked to discover that the ship's computer is sending data to someone on Earth. When they hear gunshots, they rush outside, only to find Yoshikane and Toramaru dead. Suddenly, a swarm of roaches emerge from hiding, revealing that they understand how to use the weapons they stole from the Bugs 1. Back with the group, Komachi decides they must fight and receives an injection to mutate into the Asian giant hornet from Japan, the bug with the highest annual accidental death rate. It attacks without warning and, unlike bees, can sting multiple times. With these abilities, Komachi can easily punch holes in the roaches' bodies, killing them without breaking a sweat. Jin soon decides to help and receives the injection that transforms him into a migratory locust, which has the most powerful legs in the bug world. Mina transforms into the giant Asian mantis, which has sickle-shaped legs that cut through everything. They work together to kill all of the roaches, but when the fog clears, they are surprised to see a pyramid nearby. Meanwhile, a roach watches the Bugs 2 from a distance. It suddenly reveals that it can speak and has a phone, which it uses to call Honda and inform him that everything is going as planned. Honda advises it to avoid Komachi if he transforms because his bug is dangerous. After hanging up, the cockroach enters the ship and reactivates the oxygen system before pointing a gun at Dojima and calling him captain. When Dojima wonders what is going on, the creature's body splits in half, revealing a mutated Asuka inside. She's an emerald cockroach wasp, and her stinger allows her to control roaches' minds. When she was about to be killed, she manipulated the creatures into fighting each other. It turns out that Asuka and Ichiro had been working for Honda in secret all along. Asuka kills Dojima and then throws water at Ichiro, who has mutations from the sleeping chironomid of Central Africa. This bug never dies because, when threatened, it enters a state of stasis and only requires water to reactivate. When Ichiro awakens, he and Asuka inspect the egg that they must retrieve for Honda, which is a second-generation roach. While Ichiro works to reactivate the ship, Nanao's body continues to emit large amounts of white string. Komachi and the others notice the activation of bugs too just before the drone, controlled by Honda, appears. He thanks the trio for all of the battle data he has gathered and reveals that Ichiro was the one who sabotaged the ship. After telling them about Dojima's death, Honda explains that the bug's one pod returned to Earth, bringing a roach head with it. He approached the government with the idea of using roaches as super soldiers and was granted permission to experiment on criminals because regular astronauts had morals. The real mission has always been to retrieve the egg, not to eliminate the roaches. The pyramid they saw is explained by genetic memory, and roaches are aliens who used humanity before migrating to Mars, guided by these genes. At that point, Ichiro prepares to leave as he remembers why he accepted his mission. He had several siblings and a sick mother, but they lived in poverty. Ichiro had been working on important research that he could sell later with his professor's recommendation and become wealthy. Unfortunately, the professor set Ichiro up to make it appear that he attacked a coworker, so he was expelled. Asuka, on the other hand, joined the project because she wanted power. Suddenly, the egg begins to hatch early, giving birth to 2 cockroaches. Asuka tries to use her power to control them, but it is ineffective because the second generation is more evolved. As Bugs 2 takes off, the creatures quickly kill Asuka and summon the other roaches for assistance. Soon, all of the cockroaches on the ground release their wings and fly towards the ship, causing it to malfunction. As the engine explodes, the roaches inside attack Ichiro, who quickly injects himself into stasis. After much shaking, Bugs 2 collides with Bugs 1, and the roaches attack the trio, who quickly transform and fight back. It starts off well, but then the evolved roaches from the egg join the fight, hitting much faster and stronger. Mina is soon killed with her own arm, so Jin injects himself with a second dose, making him appear more bug-like. Komachi does the same, and the fight becomes more fair, allowing both men to kill a large number of roaches faster. A magical glowing creature appears and begins to spread a glowing dust throughout the area. It turns out that Nanao has transformed into a silkworm moth. She can set fire to powdery moth scales, resulting in a dust explosion. Jin points out that this is a sacrifice to save them, so Komachi begs Nanao not to do it, eventually developing wings and flying to her. At that point, a cockroach fires at him, triggering the dust and causing a massive explosion. As the roaches start to die, Jin flies in and saves Komachi just in time, but Nanao dies again. The explosion causes Bugs 1 to shake, and a glass of water falls on Ichiro's face, waking him up. Jin eventually loses his ability to fly, and both men fall to the ground. When Komachi awakens, he discovers Jin has completely transformed into an insect, but he can still speak. Jin instructs Komachi to travel to Earth without him and survive to honor Nanao's sacrifice. Afterward, Komachi enters the ship and discovers that Ichiro is alive. He calls him a traitor and attempts to attack him, but Ichiro pulls out a gun and kills a roach who is about to kill Komachi. After agreeing to a truce, the two find the escape pod and return to Earth. The cockroaches want to attack them, but the evolved one prevents them. Meanwhile, on Earth, Honda discovers that Ichiro has hacked into his system to broadcast the truth to the entire world. However, Honda is unconcerned. He will simply go into hiding for a while before finding another government to sell his idea to. His assistant suddenly reveals that she has been working for the Japanese government all along and attempts to shoot him, but Honda has a protective barrier that stops the bullet. Then he throws a mechanical spider, which kills her. In the spaceship, Ichiro swears to expose everyone involved in the mission, while Komachi promises to dig graves for their crew and then return to Mars.
I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.